And welcome to Cruising With Kayfabe. I'm Mongo.
I'm Emily, and today we are forbidden.
That's right. We are talking about probably one of my favorite pay-per-views, not only because it's on yours truly's birthday, however, it brings in the best of New Japan, CMLL, Stardom, showcases matches we've never seen before. So we figured let's talk about some of the popular matches and maybe the less popular matches that we personally enjoyed for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling is a buffet, and we've got some matches to serve you tonight.
Absolutely. We each picked a match from each year Forbidden Door, and then stay tuned at the end because we asked you on our social media channels at Cruising With Kayfabe, excuse me. Make sure you like and subscribe right now. If we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, this hair goes bye-bye. So like, follow, subscribe, all that fun jazz before we get into a great episode. So why don't we start off with 2022, which was the inception of Forbidden Door, which really became AEW's showcase for dream matches. But instead of just ranking the greatest matches, let's talk about first a match that really emphasizes Forbidden Door: Pac versus Miro versus Malachi Black versus Clark Connors for the inaugural All Atlantic Championship. So, Emily, this was your match, so why did you choose this one?
Obviously, it was for Pac. I chose this match because it was the first ever, match for this championship, which has become one of our favorite championships because it's such a workhorse title run. I think that there's so much that goes into watching this match because there's so many different styles, dynamics.
It was definitely a different variety of match for sure because you have Malachi, who's into kickboxing. You have Rusev Miro, who is just a powerhouse. He's a tank. You have Pac, who's aerial, who can take flight, who can get you with speed. And then you have Clark Connors,
Who's all three.
is all three, but he's like that perfect underdog. I've really enjoyed that everyone kind of got a showcase, but Clark Connors kind of...
It was his debut.
It was him who had to take all the brunt force of this match. He kind of got thrown around a lot. He's the one that got all the moves done on him.
Yeah, so Connors was definitely the sacrificial lamb. But also, this was his debut in AEW. Was he signed at the time?
No.
But that's the great part about watching Forbidden Door is that you get the forbidden fruit. I think that aside from Kenny Omega's run and Matt Cardona's run in 2020, 2021, I didn't really watch wrestling outside of American wrestling. So for me to see matches that are going on in other countries and watching these wrestlers now coming over was really exciting for me. AEW really did a great job at showing us all the varieties, and that's why Forbidden Door was so exciting in the beginning. And obviously now it's not as heavily put in, but I think that these other promotions being utilized for every match of Forbidden Door in the beginning was really exciting.
That's what makes Forbidden Door great because it does allow you to showcase originally the concept, like we were saying, from New Japan. So you had a Clark Connors who came in, but you also had, Miro and Malachi who had just kind of really started full steam in AEW, their first full year in AEW. So they had to showcase as well. And then Pac, who is an AEW original, kind of going for this title because whoever was going to win this All Atlantic title, which got rebranded to the International title, was expected to go around the world and defend it. Which is always kind of funny that it was the All Atlantic, but they went to the Japan, the Pacific, so that always kind of made me chuckle. But I really liked, like I said in the beginning, that you had Pac and Malachi start off with a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of counters, Miro just dominating everyone. I absolutely loved when Malachi had that sunset flip into a leg sweep. It just looked so fluid. And then Miro just dragging Connors around. And like we said, poor Connors just took the brunt of everything. But he just somehow built up strength, and when he got his momentum, he got the shine. He got the suplex Miro, his spear. It was just such an incredible showcase of all four. And typically when you have a four-person match, some things get lost in the shuffle. Someone inevitably kind of gets less focus on them. But this one did a good job spotlighting all four individuals in this match.
Yeah, and I'm curious in the comments, who do you feel should have won that match? I definitely think that Pac was a great representation because he is a mixture of different styles. And I think that he made a really great inaugural champion. Curious what you guys think about that one.
No, I'm curious as well in the comments. I know for me, I was not pulling for Pac back then because I'm not a fan of him. I was pulling for Malachi. I remember because I
I
really
remember that as well. I'm just
enjoyed
saying
Malachi, and I was hoping he got it. And I agree. I think Pac, in
it was a good
hindsight,
one.
was a great run because we got the Orange Cassidy run out of it, and we got a great feud between the two. But I also like that Connor's got that respect, even though he didn't win the match. It opened my eyes to Clark Connors a lot more because I'd only seen a little bit of him and War Dogs and Bullet Club when I would tune in. So it was nice to see more from him. And now obviously he's all elite and he's going for the tag team titles at 2026 Forbidden Door. What a wild 4 years it's been for that man. So, and he was called the Wild Rhino, which literally sounds like one of the gas station pills people take to,
I thought it was
you
the
know,
White Rhino.
either way, I just think of those cheap packaging with like the neon. It's always at the register at the gas station. It's like, I don't know who's taking these things. It's bad enough to put pills in your body, but I can't imagine taking the gas station variant of it. Like, y'all brave. It's bad enough we all used to get those big AZ burgers that used to microwave. I don't know how. That's the CEO who needs to take a bite of their burger, not McDonald's Burger King. That guy with a gas station burger. You know, everyone had it. Always had the monster. Always had that burger. You saw it. I definitely think. You
I'm
worked at a
just
gas
saying,
station.
I worked at a gas station. I don't remember those because we had a Moe's inside our gas station.
If you're from the New Hampshire, Maine area, Moe's, more of everything. Some of the best Italian subs you'll have.
Is that what that stood for?
Yeah, more of everything.
Oh, let me tell you, everything in that shop just smelled like pickles and onion. It was awful.
I mean, it makes sense. It was Italian based on all the recipes they have. But one of the questions I also had out for you is, do you think Clark Connors deserves more credit? Looking back, knowing him now and seeing what he did, do you think he deserves more credit for what he did in this match for being his debut?
I think so. I definitely didn't even remember him being a part of it, and he ate the pin.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really weird to look back at some people's debuts in AEW and realize how detrimental some of them actually were. And I think that Clark Connors could have been, yes, he was showcased, but the talent in the ring at the time should have pushed him a little more, knowing that they were well known and he wasn't. Coming from a WWE branding for all three of the rest, I think that they could have put him over a little bit more than they did. And maybe we would have remembered that he was in this match a little better.
I mean, I guess I always remember because I just, saw a different side of him. And but I see what you're saying. I think it would probably stuck out more and more people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe
Makes sense.
I don't think he was with the Bullet Club yet, so maybe that's part of it as well. But I think that
You just wanted him to shine more than he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think we saw that in the future, and we're going to talk about that match, and I think that there's ways to go about people's big debuts.
No, I think there is absolutely a way to present a wrestler. And my pick, if you didn't know what I was going to pick from 2022...
He picked the one I wanted, guys.
If you didn't know the one that I was going to pick, like I know you did because you were mad that I picked it, but it's Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay. We've talked about this match before on our Orange Cassidy episode. Cheap plug, go check it out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe as well.
Love us some OC.
It was the match that introduced Will Ospreay to a lot of the AEW crowd. It was a match to me that if you were an AEW fan, you saw Orange Cassidy try at All Out 2020. This is when you realized, okay, fuck, he's serious. He can keep up with Will Ospreay. He can keep up with one of the best, if not the best in the world at the moment. And it's just, I had to pick this match because not only have I watched it probably 417 times, I think it just really shows the great heel work by Ospreay. I mean, he didn't even have Elevated. And the reason why he didn't have Elevated, he said in interviews later on, was he's like, well, fans can sing it. Why would I give him something to be happy for? Just the psychology of why he didn't use his entrance music. How much of a cocky prick he was during this match. And just Orange Cassidy being an asshole and just fucking with him the entire match with the taunting of the kicks when they take each other and he's kicking him and he does it slow and Ospreay's face is just really, bro.
So my favorite spot that I wrote down is that OC reaches into his pocket and pulls out a middle finger.
Is that where Okada got it from?
And the fact that they took out a camera in the turnbuckle.
Yeah. The camera that they have whenever they go into that. Yeah. I don't know why they thought that'd be a good idea in wrestling. It's a cool angle, but a camera's got to break all the time.
Yeah.
Speaking of break, I broke when Orange Cassidy, after Will Ospreay did the superhero pose, he kind of like crawls down and he slowly gets into the superhero pose and then gives a thumbs up and smiles. And Ospreay's like, the mind games was over the top. And that's what I think I liked about this. You saw why Orange Cassidy wrestles sloth style because it pisses off his opponent. He got into Will's head. And then when Orange Cassidy had enough and he was pissed off, he started laying it in. He started countering Will. He started giving back just his stiff chops. He started kicking him harder. He started getting his momentum, the Superman punches. And then it's like they both hit another level and just went crazy. And I think this match starts out like Ospreay dominates, Orange Cassidy's evasive, and then all of a sudden Ospreay pisses Orange Cassidy off. He hits that button where he's like, all right, I'm fucking trying now. And I think the pacing and the psychology of this match is why I love it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that we did get to see different styles of Orange Cassidy in the very beginning. There's not enough things to talk about with this match, and I don't want to go on an hour tangent. I definitely could. To hit 2 Stormbreakers back to back, to show off that cocky attitude. I barely took notes because I was just watching this match because that's what I do when Orange Cassidy's on my screen, and especially when Will Ospreay's on the screen. Like, if you look away, you're missing a big moment.
All the false finishes. I mean, they're even rewatching it, knowing what's happening, you're like, too, because they were so well done, and it really gave that momentum of like, does Orange have a chance? And you believed that, and he sold that, and I love that this match really, reading cage match comments because I was curious. I have like a little fan section of what other people were saying. Almost all the comments were, well, this is the match that changed my opinion on Orange Cassidy, or this is the match I realized he's not just a comedy gimmick and it doesn't get enough praise and how the pacing is perfect. And then 3 words stood out to me from this match that people put on cage match: comedy, frustration, intensity. And that literally feels like how this match was built. The comedy angle, then Will getting pissed off and Orange Cassidy getting pissed off, and then it goes to a high intensity match. And then before you know it, yeah, like you said, they're hitting Stormbreaker after Stormbreaker, the reverse Hurricane Runner, the Slumdog Millionaire, the beach break. Like it goes to another level, and you're just like, whoa, like you needed a drink after this match. It was incredible.
And this was, I believe, his debut as well.
Or it was Will Ospreay's debut for AEW, correct?
So obviously not like their signed debuts, but these are matches that, again,
I'd say their pay-per-view debut. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I just think that it's really, really exciting to see such big names now that you're realizing, wait, that's how they got their start here. I don't know.
And what's really cool is if you want to see what a heel Will Ospreay was, we have more in this episode later, but this particular match was really his dynamics as a heel. This is where that famous gif comes from where he's like, whatever. Like, it's just, you see the asshole come out of Ospreay.
And also, like, to think that Orange Cassidy has wrestled and tried to compete for the IWGP US Championship. What?
And it was a good test for his later Workhorse run the following year. I believe this match probably showed Tony, because the crowd got behind Orange like I don't think I ever heard before.
Yeah.
And I believe that Tony was like, you know what? This man could work. And, that's why I think it's funny you picked the All-Atlantic and Honorable Championship, because what would come of this match would be Pac and Orange Cassidy having that rivalry where Orange Cassidy takes the now international title and just goes on a phenomenal run. Again, check out our episode. We covered it all in depth. But that's why I think these 2 matches resonate with us as well, because they both really set up the futures of like everyone in these matches. These 6 men were set up for their future. Well, 2 of them went back to WWE, but still, you know what I mean.
And you also saw Aussie Open. You saw
Mark Davis
and Kyle Fletcher look like before his makeover.
Babyface Kyle Fletcher was wild to see. Like, this is crazy.
And they started the match by throwing Will Ospreay into Orange Cassidy. So, I mean, there's just, again,
the Don
Callis things that we can talk about here.
Yeah, it was great. I absolutely loved it. And, that's going to slide us into 2023 where, obviously I had to pick another Will Ospreay match.
And damn, he was still champion.
And I had to pick one of my probably favorite matches of all time, definitely top 5, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega the rematch of Wrestle Kingdom, IWGP Championship. Kenny Omega's going in as the IWGP US Championship. Ospreay's trying to get back his title. And you have the Ultimate Sin. Don Callis had betrayed Kenny Omega and now brought in reinforcements and brought in Will Ospreay to take out Kenny Omega, setting this match up. The brutality. This match is a match where I feel like you forget to breathe during. Like, this wasn't just a match. This was a sequel to Wrestle Kingdom 17. It felt like a continuation of that first match. You start off with the technical wrestling that instead of going full speed, you start off with them. Anything you can do, I can do better. The chain wrestling. You had Ospreay start to get stiffer. You have Kenny start to get stiffer. It picked up so well, so quick.
We saw an Oz cutter off the apron after a crazy rope-wrapped shooting star press. What did I even just say?
That was insane. Yeah, Kenny's hanging over the ropes. Ospreay goes for a shooting star press, hits him off the ropes. Oz cutter under the apron. Then he goes and he gets the Canadian flag from a fan in the crowd. He pulls an old Shawn Michaels. He's blowing his nose with it. He's wiping his bum with it. He's doing all kinds of stuff with it. And then Kenny Omega gets to play the hero, get that flag back, and give it to the two most excited kids that I've ever seen in my entire life. Every time we talk about this match, I just think those kids have that core memory for life that Kenny Omega gave them a Canadian flag.
Wiped by Will Ospreay's booty. Did Mom steal it?
I love that we got that mega Don Callis seat. The crowd started off a little like, oh, boo, boo. But then the fuck Don Callis chant started. The heat started.
Oh, Don Callis got banned from ringside because he grabbed at Will's foot. I forgot about that.
Oh, he grabbed at Kenny's foot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Kenny's foot.
Yeah, but remember, he came back. And I was always mad that he came back. I just love that Kenny Omega, dove over at Don Callis. Like, Kenny Omega was trying to go at him. The screwdriver came into play. There was so much chemistry in this match. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that one of the most iconic moments of that match is when Will hits Kenny with a hidden blade and then licks the blood off his bicep.
Well, you jumped ahead. Why is he bleeding? Because they had a callback to Wrestle Kingdom 17 where you have Will Ospreay grab Kenny's head and just bashes him into the Forbidden Door logo. Now
I am the table.
Here is a little bit of a deep dive for you on that. The Forbidden Door logo was Kenny's iris. So while he's getting his head bashed in on the Forbidden Door logo, Kenny's actually getting his face bashed in on his face. So it's kind of like a little subtle. And unfortunately, you don't get your little callback of Kenny putting his face through the hole this time. But yeah, you got a bloody Kenny Omega who takes a hidden blade. He licks the blood, but Kenny would get some payback because he'd throw him in the steps. He did a pile driver on the steps. And Ospreay, I don't know if he hit the corner, but that man was gushing buckets during this match.
Yeah, they exchanged suplexes and chops, and they went at each other, just covering that ring.
Yeah, they were smearing blood on each other's chest. The German suplexes were crazy. When Kenny hits the V trigger and then they went into the Spanish fly, like, that counter was incredible. I love that the sharpshooter got booed, which I don't think I've ever heard the sharpshooter booed in Canada, which was crazy. But then the spot that I'll always remember, the Tiger Driver 91, double underhook. He picks him up, drops Kenny right on his fucking head. You saw the blood spot hit the mat. You thought he's done. Ospreay gets cocky. He tries to hit the one-winged angel on Kenny. Kenny doesn't even give it a 1.1. He just kicks right out fucking one. He just kicks right like, no, you ain't beat me with my move. It was amazing. And then Callis, that chicken shit, because he came back, takes the V-trigger, sacrificed himself, screwdriver during the one-winged angel attempt. Ospreay just laughed. He knew it worked. Unfortunately, he gets the win, but I was happy because I love both of them, but heel Ospreay gets the win. Kenny loses in Canada. Maybe settling some foreshadowing for All In. Who knows? But this is probably one of the best matches. I still say Wrestle Kingdom 17 is their best one, but this one was a perfect sequel. All we need is to finish this trilogy. But this match was just amazing because it wasn't just about big moves. It was about getting that emotion of the crowd.
Yeah, and something that I noticed early on, just fun fact, I believe Will Ospreay had some Slytherin-style gear on that night.
He definitely, the black and the green, he definitely had some Slytherin.
And there were snakes on it. I mean, if not, it was like rep.
It was definitely some sort of reference to it. Looking on Cage Match, a lot of people are saying one of the greatest matches of all time, and that they actually preferred it over us because of the emotion and the atmosphere, which I agree. The atmosphere was a lot hotter, but I think it's hard because each match told a different story. I still, that one winged angel kick out at one is iconic. Just the Kenny Omega, like getting that, like ramping him up, all the different V triggers, like they definitely laid each other, and the way they built this match up, the personal vendetta behind it, where I left New Japan and you were supposed to take it over and you couldn't do it. Anything you can do, I can do better. It built the perfect story. They told it well in the ring. And now it's been 3+ years since this match, so you know when it's going to happen again, there's going to be callbacks to this match. The bad blood, pun intended. It's just, if you can pick a match that's like, what is a dream match?
This.
You point to this. And then, of course, we have to go in with Emily's dream match that she picked. And a match that, in everyone's eyes, didn't think we were going to see until Bryan Danielson became All Elite. But 2023, Kazuchika Okada making his AEW pay-per-view debut against Bryan Danielson at Forbidden Door. And what a way to start the match. You hear the final countdown for the first time, and that crowd, when they hear that first, that crowd erupts, and they did not sit down. They did not calm down until the final bell. Like, what a way to get them hyped for the main event at Forbidden Door. What a way to get you hyped to play something that hadn't been played in a decade plus since Ring of Honor that was iconic to him.
Yeah, I think that it was... I mean, it starts out with holy shit chants before the match can even really technically start.
And they just soaked it all in.
Yeah, and I think one of the best parts about this match is that there wasn't any real domination in the beginning. It was a lot of back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something so key to having chemistry with your opponent, is for it to just flow. And that's what this did. There wasn't a, like, oh, I'm better than you moment. It was perfectly balanced, back and forth, back and forth.
Insert, like, that Thanos clip, perfectly balanced, like all things should be. Yeah, like you said, the anticipation made this feel so historic. And then I love the psychology of Danielson going for Okada's arm, just working on that arm, like, you ain't hitting that Rainmaker on me. The technical wrestling, the chain wrestling at the beginning was just incredible. And Bryan realizing the height difference, he's got to keep that tall son of a bitch on the ground, work that arm, work that leg. You can see him kind of getting annoyed. You can see him working underneath, trying to keep Okada from getting leverage on him, because Okada's strength is the drop kick, the tombstone, the Rainmaker, and then his height. Bryan, being that smart wrestler, has to go for the feet. He has to keep him. He has to get that arm. And I really liked...
He kept grounded.
And I really enjoyed that aspect. And then we would learn later, about 10 minutes in the match, Okada goes for 2 different elbows 2 different times. And Bryan ends up breaking his arm. And, Doc Samson comes in, and unfortunately he does the fake Caesar spot, which I'm not a fan of. We said before, we won't go too in depth on it. But obviously there's a way to relay the messages, hey, my arm's broken. But the fact that he wrestled another 10 minutes plus match with a broken fucking arm, like, shows you what a badass Bryan Danielson is, what this match meant to him.
It really is, and you can tell, like, he maneuvers away from his arm quite a bit in the last half, but he's still doing so much, and at the same time, so is Okada, and I think that's why...
The tombstone on the entrance ramp.
Mongo picked my match of the night, so a lot of these, I'm like, well, that's my second pick, and this is not a match that you would think I would have picked. However, this is one of the first times we see Okada, if not the first. I believe
this is the first time we saw him in one-on-one action, yes.
And this was one of Bryan's big comeback matches. The matches that I feel we're bringing up are the matches that make Forbidden Door. I think that having the mixture of talent, I'm going to keep emphasizing it. I want more Forbidden Fruit. I want more of these wrestlers that you're like, holy shit, like, we get to see this person wrestle in AEW like Starlight Kid.
No, and that's what was great, because, having seen Okada in New Japan, to get to see him on AEW, see him wrestle Bryan Danielson, who we didn't think would happen, and it got to happen twice. And then poor Bryan, he broken arm, one of them broken orbital bone in the next match, but it shows you how hard they wrestled. I mean, there's one point where Bryan hits a Psycho knee and Okada hits a drop kick, and they just collide in midair, and it was just the crazy amount of athleticism, and then the Rainmaker, and Brian he's done. And I know the consensus of the match is it could have been better, but I mean, looking back on it with his broken arm, he still gave a 5-star match with one arm. Like, if that doesn't say what a legend Brian is and how professional
True.
Okada is, I mean, both men went out there and delivered. And yeah, their second match may have been better technically, but this was definitely a good introduction if you had never seen Okada to kind of see what he could do. And this is also if you only ever saw Daniel Bryan, in WWE post 2014, 2015, when he came back. Like, this is like who he was. This is American Dragon, Ring of Honor, kick your fucking head in. And that's what I think I liked about his AEW run. And this match is a good, exemplifies it because it showed what a beast Bryan was too.
Well, I'm going to go back on that a little bit, though, because the Daniel Bryan I got to watch when I watched WWE later 2010s was... Oh, that sounds so weird. I got to see David versus Goliath matches. I've gotten to see in his WWE run quite a bit of awesome wrestling. I think he wrestled Big Show at one point. Like, I don't know. I've saw a lot of that style, but they loved to put him in that style. So I think that's why this match for me resonated so much, was because Okada doesn't wrestle like a typical tall person. He wrestles like a wrestler does. He doesn't go for the choke slams, and he doesn't go for... I mean, he
doesn't wrestle big, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like, he doesn't bring that presence with him.
Well, I mean, in comparison, he's not as... Brian was always... His height was always kind of, not detrimental, but that was why he had that underground mentality. He had that, underdog because he wasn't 6 foot, 250 pounds like the average wrestler. And like you said, Okada is deceptive with his height because he's tall, he's strong, he's fast, but the height he gets on his drop kick is terrifying.
It really is.
And he's so precise with it. And, precise is a great segue into a match. Now, 2024 had a lot of good ones. I originally was going to pick Ospreay and Swerve, and I was like, if I pick 3 Ospreay matches in a row, my bias is showing. But I ended up picking another Orange Cassidy match, which is another match I think showed off Orange Cassidy's skills in the ring. ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy. It's just a match that, again, if you want to see how good Orange Cassidy is, and you want to see how good Zack Sabre Jr. is, this is a great match. And again, to go to your point for Forbidden Door, exemplifies what Forbidden Door is, because you're seeing Zack Sabre Jr., who has been Mr. Forbidden Door. He was in the 4-way match. He was in the first Forbidden Door. He's fought Zack Sabre Jr. He's fought Nigel McGuinness. He's fighting Kenny Omega in 2026. He's always been the big moment. And I feel like this is another good test for Orange Cassidy to go against, a champion of New Japan, one of the top guys.
I think it's comical that Zack Sabre Jr. has been in the game for quite a while, and I didn't get to learn about him until these, Forbidden Door style matches.
And like you said, because, you didn't get a chance to watch as much New Japan.
Yeah.
But I mean, also your work schedule kind of made it hard. You work so early in the morning. You're going to work when New Japan starts.
But also, when I worked overnights, I wish I knew more about the New Japan and Stardom wrestling, because I would have been obsessive. I mean, especially working the overnight shift, I would have been able to watch so much more wrestling if I had just known about it. And I think that's something that is... I'm going to go on a tangent here. It is something really special about our podcast and what we talk about. We hear a lot of people just talking about WWE, and as great as the product is, Sami Zayn is freaking champion, guys. As great as this product is right now, I think that it's really exciting to know that there is other wrestling out there. I'm excited for the future of WWE, seeing Obafemi taking King of the Ring. I think that Io Sky winning Queen, right?
Yeah.
I think that these are things that are going to make a huge difference going into WWE this year, in the rest of the year. And then you've got AEW showcasing all these big names, big talents. And I think that that's the fun of this. You're getting to see more wrestling. So if you haven't looked up some of these people outside of AEW even, go check out some of their matches. You just never know. We covered Kenny Omega versus Okada. Multiple feud.
Well, yeah, we did their whole entire, essentially, quadrilogy.
Yeah, so I think that it's really special and kind of important to look at other wrestling promotions, not realizing how detrimental they are.
No, I think so. And, I want to point out some fairness for you. You talked about, 2021, 2022, you weren't really watching New Japan. I think, honestly, you had a hard time watching a lot through the pandemic. And I think maybe to play devil's advocate, because AEW was one you could easily watch. I think for you, watching a New Japan with a crowd not being able to talk, not being able to do, because that was hard for me to watch New Japan. Was they had absolute silence, no cheering, no clapping, so it's hard to watch when it's just dead silence. So I think that's probably maybe what moved you away, because you watched the Bullet Club, you enjoyed watching a lot of that. I think, like you said, but a chance to see, got kind of like that strong group from 2020 to 2024 that really heralded New Japan. Unfortunately, a lot of the pandemic kind of hindered, I think, your watching. So I would say it's not that you didn't seek it out. I just think it was also hard too, because it's hard to go back now and watch 2020 matches without the crowd, because like the crowd for this match that we were talking about was ZSJ and Orange Cassidy helped the match. All the matches we talked about, the crowds being electric, helped the match. Forbidden Door, all that helped the match, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere that each one brings. Because here's something I want to say, kind of go back on what you were saying. AEW's been around for 7 years, and I think they've been on a generational run of pay-per-views. I know Forbidden Door, the concept, as we go through, you'll see kind of muddies. It's maybe not so forbidden anymore, but I think it's because relationships are stronger than they used to be. And I think it's cool when there is more wrestling. It's like you said, seeking out a Stardom, seeking out CMLL, learning about more AAA, learning about GCW and the independents, because you never know who you're going to see on your TV screen. Like you said, you didn't know a lot about Zack Sabre Jr. until Forbidden Door. And I loved Zack Sabre Jr., but I didn't get to see a lot of him. So I like that I kind of got to see more of him and be like, okay, I was validated for thinking he was cool.
And I think that getting back into this match too is that Zack Sabre Jr. is really good at working body parts. He's very technical, and I think that
you love that joint manipulation.
I really do. Like Pete Dunne, I think that Kevin Blackwood, certain wrestlers,
like that bruiserweight
really,
style.
Yeah, like they really showcase stuff because it makes you feel like you're in the moment. It makes you wonder, like, oh my god, are they okay? Like Darby getting thrown out and landing on his face. I think that certain little pieces of what Zack Sabre Jr. brings, and then you've got Orange Cassidy that half the time won't sell it because, whatever.
Or he's good at countering. Like they
Yes!
start off great with the chain wrestling. Like Orange Cassidy can wrestle. Like that's one thing. If you check out our YouTube or any of our socials, I've shared this clip every year that I made with ZSJ and Ospreay and Hardy and Jericho and multiple other legends of the business saying, if you don't think Cassidy is a good worker, you're an idiot. And they talk about how great he is in the ring. And this is a match that showed how technical he was. Even back from Shikara, when he started out, he's so technical and he's so good at his ring psychology. He was matching, like you said, he was either no-selling it to piss off Zack Sabre Jr., or he was matching his technical prowess. And I just loved how he kept trying to trap Orange Cassidy into submission, and he always kind of like wiggled his way out, like you were saying. Like he was like, nope, you ain't getting that on me.
And just more love to this in general. I just absolutely love Orange Cassidy pulling shenanigans on such serious wrestlers as well. I think that Zack Sabre Jr. holds almost a prestige in wrestling because how does this tall ass man wrap around people like he does?
Because he's lanky. He's got long trunk, long arms, long legs.
Yeah, but that's something you usually see in the smaller wrestlers like AJ Lee, Daniel Bryan, like Jonathan Gresham. You don't see that in the tall wrestlers. So it's really cool to see how he lands across people's bodies, wrapping around them is in a different area, so he can work different body parts than what Jonathan Gresham could work on someone.
And that's why he's been known for his technical prowess, because he finds a new way to stretch you. He finds a new way, like you said, the joint manipulation earlier, like where he bends the fingers, bends the elbows. There was a submission in this where he was basically doing ab stretch, but he was also bending the wrist and like manipulating the thumb. So not only is he stretching the guy's poor core, your thumb, your arm, and Orange Cassidy trying to find a way to avoid it. And I like, because one of the things I took down was, I like that Orange Cassidy wasn't trying to like be 100% copying what Zach was doing, like submission wise, but he was keeping up with it, but he was being evasive. Like he was, like you said, he was finding ways to get out of it with comedy. still fine, but he'd still find ways to hit his orange punch, to hit the orange crush. Zack Sabre Jr. had to do everything, put him in arm bars, put him in leg locks. He would reverse the leg lock into a mouse trap pin at one point. Like, just the little things he did, like that bridging pin you thought was going to win it at one point because Orange Cassidy was able to, like, well, if you're going to do this, I'm just going to roll this way. Like, his intelligence, and I love it because Zack is already an intelligent technical worker, and now you have Orange Cassidy who has a high ring IQ and should be producing more later on.
I think he does work a lot of production, but I think
like when he's done full time, he'll be perfect.
More because Orange Cassidy is just unstoppable, and I think that it's really fun to watch him.
I wouldn't be surprised if we find out later he's been helping Leo Rush with his character. I can see that. Just like I think he really helped Zack Sabre Jr. in this match because Zack Sabre Jr. when his first kind of foray into American wrestling, his big quote is having a technical wrestling match is like having an American read Shakespeare to a dog because he knows that a lot of American fans don't like technical wrestling. They think it's boring. He always had this weird stigma of him kind of being boring and him not having a personality. I think Orange Cassidy was great to work with him because it was such a contrast in his character that they brought it out of each other and you saw the personality of Zack. And I think that's what won a lot of fans over too, is not only you see this guy who can bend you, stretch you, break you in many ways, but he's a sassy, sarcastic asshole. And then you got Orange Cassidy, he's like, I'm going to piss you off. Like he just loved it. And that's why I think I loved it with this match. And
that's kind of what we're seeing with Andrade right now. Orange and Andrade have that chemistry right now, and I am eating it up.
And, I really think that this match was a great pace, and I was excited that we picked it, and I'm excited for more on this card to get to, so we have a few more matches to go through. And last up for 2024 Forbidden Door is a match that Emily picked, which is Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vacour. Sadly, we only got one match from Stephanie Vacour, but happy for her because she got to go live her dream, go to WWE. She's become champion. She's been killing it over there. And honestly, this match is a big reason I think WWE finally noticed her and gave her the opportunity she truly deserves. And this match is a big part of it because both these women killed it in this match.
I think that it was really fun to watch Stephanie's style and watching it. She was already so developed. She was already so good and talented. And I think that WWE obviously saw what we all saw. Mm-hmm. And I really think it's fun to see people that looked up to Mercedes getting to now wrestle her. And I just love that about wrestling.
I do too. I like, the full circle serendipitous moments like that. The chemistry was evident right away. The transitions, the mounts, the submissions. Stephanie was fast. What I wrote down, she was quick. She was aggressive.
She held 3 championships going into this match.
They meshed well because, Stephanie would hit that crossbody and Mercedes would kind of roll into it. So I loved how Stephanie blocked the 3 amigos and then transitioned to a leg lock submission. Just such fluidity with them, if that's the right word for it. And I think they had that natural chemistry, and I think that was Stephanie's talent too, was she's definitely got so much upside because she can work with anyone, and Mercedes has that I can work with anyone. And when you have those wrestlers get together, it makes magic, and this match certainly did.
Yes, it was everything I love about a fast-paced match. It was 2 women being able to really show off. I don't think that at a Forbidden Door we had such a big moment, and I think for the women, and I think that was really, really precedented. And this is still a match that, if you're a fan of Stephanie's in WWE, go check this match out because this is literally what got her signed.
And if you're a fan of Mercedes, this is where the belt collector run started.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of how quick Stephanie tapped. I thought they could have struggled in that submission a little bit longer. But I'm not sure if there was a timing thing, because you know how that works with television and pay-per-views.
And this is when we got that epic promo. There's a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes Moné. And
I just like that it was a good showcase for CMLL and the Luchadores, like you said. It was a good showcase for Mercedes because I'll go out on a hill and say it. Besides maybe All In, Mercedes has yet to have, a bad match in AEW. And I think this being her, second match in the company, pay-per-view wise, really she shined, she showcased. And I think Stephanie Vacour kind of helped show, oh my God, I want to do this around the world. I think this really lit more of a fire under Mercedes than she already had from coming from Japan and, starting to work on the indies. So I think this match really did something for Mercedes. At least I noticed it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. And this was the TBS title versus the New Japan Pro
No,
Wrestling Strong.
NCMLL. It was what,
Oh,
pretty sure, right? It was I don't know, it was New Japan Strong. You're right. It was New Japan Strong. My apologies.
the purple title belt.
Yes, the New Japan Strong Women's title, correct. Because which that lineage is crazy. You have Julia on that lineage. You have Stephanie McCoy. You have Mercedes. You have Willow. Like Saya. You have so much lineage. And it got showcased. So another great way they got to showcase that
And that's
title.
the title that she lost to Willow in her last match in her big run post WWE.
Yes, and I really enjoyed, how they kind of kept playing that story with Willow and Stephanie. I mean, Willow and Mercedes too. Like they kind of all connect in a weird roundabout way. And before we get too far off the beaten path, this match again, it's fantastic. Great chemistry between both women. If you really want to see what Stephanie can do in the ring, not that she hasn't done it, this, like you said, this is a great match to showcase it. Also, I'll say it's a great match to see the Devil's Kiss and show what it's like when it isn't overly sexualized because Booker T decided to help make it overly sexualized.
There was no grunting.
It was just a normal move that's been around forever and a day that people have done. And I also like the respectfulness of the cameramen. They would try to make sure they weren't going to, show you a medical exam, if you get my drift, sometimes with their camera cuts, like other companies have done. And I really enjoyed what they brought. I really enjoyed showcased that Mercedes and Toni Storm and Stephanie McCoy, all these women are kind of like that next generation of bringing this women division, like you said, getting those future wrestlers like, I want to be like Stephanie McCoy. I want to be like Mercedes. And it's awesome to see for women's wrestling as a whole. And I think this match really, like you said, it opened that Forbidden Door.
And it got to showcase both women. And again, this is what Forbidden Door should be. This is what a debut should be. This is so exciting, so beautifully done. I love wrestling, let's be honest here.
I do too. And I was surprised that you picked another Okada match. Or did I pick this one?
You picked this one.
Okay, so I was surprised myself then because I, for some reason, thought, no, okay, I'm going to back up here. I was going to originally pick the cage match in 2025 Forbidden Door, which is where our final Forbidden Door. And I realized I didn't want to pick that. I wanted 6 singles matches. So Swerve versus Okada is who I picked. That's why I apologize. See what? Look at that. Already making mistakes, but that's okay.
These matches are so good. We don't know which one we picked, guys.
And that's the thing. Sometimes we picked matches and each other had them, so we tried to go off the beaten path. Now, I will say 2025 Forbidden Door was probably the most raucous crowd because they were in the O2. They were in London. 17,000 plus screaming British fans enjoying wrestling. And when that coin dropped, this place just went electric. And I really like that, Swerve, yeah, he was working hurt, but I really like they built that story with the commentators, sometimes a little too much, of his knee, but he worked a different style with his knee. So this was a different style of Swerve, and that's what I think I liked about this match.
So I kind of want to resonate on this a little bit. The fact that I absolutely love Bryan Danielson on commentary, but we really need to slow down on just the injury every time. Kenny Omega, diverticulitis, his intestines, blah, blah. Like, I get it. It's a story, but...
It's not always Bryan, though. You can't just put it on Bryan.
It's not just Bryan, but he's one of the big ones that, like... Because he does have the injuries, I think that it resonates with him. But I just think that sometimes I just want to watch wrestling without worrying about stuff like that.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I agree with what you're saying. I think it's overkill with how much they do it. I don't think it's because he has injuries. I think he's trying to use his wrestling brain to translate to the audience that this is why Swerve is holding his knee. This is why he's son. This is why Okada. I think he's more trying to tell you the psychology, but I agree. I think he brings it up too much. He should sprinkle it in there and not ram it down your throat.
Every match we're getting in the last 5 years of their medical history.
Yeah, but it's good to tell because that's the story of this match. And, I liked it because neither one of these guys wanted to make that mistake. Swerve, he's coming off a few months prior, Summer Blockbuster, his second match against Will, he drew, he's still fresh out of his Hangman feud. He's trying to figure out where his direction is. He got screwed at Dynasty. And now Okada, who's part of the Elite, was part of the screw job, was in his way. And he didn't want to take Okada for granted. And Don Callis told the good story, too, of yeah, he didn't want to take. Oh, I mean, Brian totally go. Excuse me, but he didn't want to take Okada for granted because Swerve was smart, and that's what made him dangerous. Was he'd find new ways to hurt you, and that's kind of what they started with, that crazy baseball slide or that crazy twister he did. Even with an injured knee, he's doing those crazy spots off the ropes. He's trying to use his speed against Okada. How we talked about earlier with Brian using the ground game, Swerve was basically using his quickness, his athleticism.
So that's what Okada knew he had to break down. So working that knee slowed him down, which again is why we talk about it. It's just in depth of how we talk about it.
And there was even a crazy spot where he gets monkey flipped. Essentially, he gets thrown over or sorry, not monkey flip, but they grab the legs, they seesaw him, teeter over, and he hits a handspring and he lands in his knee buckles, or he gets thrown into the stairs, and Okada really, really goes after him, and you notice that he'd go for the house call and his knee would kind of buckle,
Yes.
or he'd go for something and it wouldn't be as fluid or crisp. And I looked on Cage Match, and one of the things I saw about this match was a lot of comments about how Swerve persevered through this injury. And that's two matches we talked about, Brian and Swerve, who they gutted through some pretty bad injuries. I mean, Swerve had a torn meniscus, and as someone who's had a torn meniscus before, that sucks. It hurts. I can't imagine being an athlete his caliber, jumping and diving and dancing and kicking and everything. Like, that's your mobility, that's your stability. So, like, ow. And then Okada, being the professional, he was working the knee, but he was also trying to protect Swerve and not put him in a bad spot. But I like that he still played up the mind games. I like that Okada, this was true heel Okada, kind of a flip from the other Okada. This was true. This is now Okada's in AEW, flipping the bird. He doesn't care. He's enjoying it. And he would take out Swerve. Swerve wouldn't even kick out from the Rainmaker, which it really showed you how dominant Okada was. But I like that he didn't really establish dominance till later in the match when Swerve kind of broke down. Because that was the story of the match. Swerve ultimately he couldn't keep up. His knee gave out and Okada capitalized. But it's a great match. Another Forbidden Door concept of, yeah, he didn't get to wrestle while he was in New Japan, but Swerve Okada is a dream match in any caliber, and that's why I picked it, and I think that's why the match worked.
Yes, 100%. And I think that watching Okada style versus Swerve style, I think that it was really interesting to see how they collide, because when we break it down, these are, again, wrestlers you wouldn't typically see, which is why they are dream matches, why they are forbidden.
And such contrasting styles, too. I mean, you have, like, the lightning quick dangerousness of Swerve, and then the strength and agility of Okada. And it was a great juxtaposition. And speaking of that, the match that Emily picked, probably one of her favorite matches, a match that had a star-making performance. Mercedes Moné, Bozilla, Alex Windsor, and of course, Bozilla. I mean, Persephone, excuse me. I said Bozilla twice. See, that's the star. I said her twice because she's on my mind, because you want to talk about a match that had someone break out at 21 years old? This match. She dominated this match.
I think that's why I've been so excited to see Bozilla come into AEW. I believe she is she dual contracted?
No, she's only in Stardom.
Okay, so Persephone is the dual contract. Yes. So both of these women, this match is what showed me who they were.
It showed me who Bozilla was. I didn't know much about her.
Yeah, so I think that that's really exciting. There's 2 pay-per-views a year that I'm willing to go across a story and, like, cross it out. We don't need it. Stories at Forbidden Door aren't always necessary because they're dream matches. And Wrestle Dream. Again, dream matches. I don't know if you agree with that, but I want a story, but it's not needed at every match for these two.
And that's what AEW has kind of shown, because, one place or one style could work for one company, but AEW realizes that, yeah, sometimes you need a story and sometimes you just want to see good graps. And that's what Forbidden Door is. You see a 4-way, you see Mercedes having to defend her TBS title against Bozilla, Windsor, and Persephone, and against 3 people who could take her championship, and it's a fatal 4-way, so she doesn't even have to be pinned. So the drama of the match, and then Bozilla just dominating, was a real disadvantage for Mercedes this whole match.
And to think that you could have had someone from Stardom, someone from New Japan, Rev Pro, right? That's where Alex
Rev Pro,
was.
CMLL, yeah.
And then also CMLL. So you could have had between 4 different companies you were having somebody win this championship. And that's also exciting. Because what if Persephone had brought that back to CMLL?
What if Windsor had taken it back overseas? What if, Bozilla had taken it to
Bozilla.
Stardom? And that's what sold the match because, again, champions disadvantage. And I wrote down between everyone in this match, there was 9 championships represented by these competitors because obviously Mercedes was in her full belt collecting run, but you had Windsor and Persephone who were champions coming into this match as well.
Mercedes had so many belts, she needed help carrying them out.
And I want to point out when the Beefeaters, the guards were holding the belts, my favorite when you're rewatching this match, watch the guy on the bottom left. When they all hold up the belts, he clearly is having fun and nervous, forgets, and he looks over and sees, oh, my turn. And he holds it up. And I just love it because it's such a human thing, but it was such a great entrance for London. And it really, that's where she kind of started doing these entrances because we see great ones at All In, we see great ones at All Out. I think this was a fun way to start the match, but again, the story of the match for me is Bozilla just dominating, showcasing her power. And I love that they told you about her dad, Herman the German. Ulf Herman is his name, because he wrestled Sabu in ECW. He wasn't in ECW long. He was only there from like 96-ish to 97. But he made an impact in a U.S. company while being basically a legend in Germany. So you have second generational talent in Bozilla, who unfortunately she suffered an ACL injury in January. She had surgery in March. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one.
I just keep fantasy wanting her back.
We just keep booking her back. Who knows how long the recovery is? Again, we don't know how severe, anything like that. But if you go by basic time frames from other athletes, hopefully by the end of this year, she could return. Maybe next year, depending on her recovery. Stranger things have happened in wrestling. We've seen people come back quicker. I don't know. But this match was a reason I really wanted to see more of her this year because I wanted to see her one-on-one versus Megan Bayne at Forbidden Door. Because they had a match in Stardom. They only interacted for a few minutes, but that was your Amazonian beast that you want. That was your, okay, they're going to go to town and they're going to tear each other apart. That's the kind of match you want at Forbidden Door.
Give me Bozilla, Steph DeLander, Megan Bayne, all together, and Story Denali.
Poor Steph DeLander's going to be, he's going to have to face these Amazonian.
She's got a lot of matches I want to see, okay? She showed up in Ring of Honor last week.
You're putting her up against the, top of that test already.
Because she's one of the best.
This is like how my brother taught me to swim. Here's the deep end. Just threw me right in there. It's like, good luck.
That's how most people learn how to swim. It's okay. Steph DeLander is already at top levels, though. She was indie queen. Before Shotzi, there was Steph DeLander.
No, I get that, but I don't think bringing her in and putting her against that much right away would be very fair.
I put Story in there, too. Come on.
Again, but you're still putting everyone that's a disadvantage. You're going to have Steph have to fight
tall.
uphill. She is, but you're putting up against some powerhouses. That's against anyone. Anyone going against that.
You're
like some
looking
one-on-one
at
matches.
a disadvantage. I'm talking about Steph DeLander being one of the best, and you're over here shitting on her.
I'm not shitting at her. I'm saying you're putting at her a disadvantage.
Ooh, I'm telling Mance.
You can tell Mance. I'm just saying I'm not trying to put his wife in harm's way, and you're saying put her through the gauntlet. I'm saying one-on-one matches first. You're saying everyone at once.
Yeah.
But
give me everything.
The question I have for the chat is, do you think Bozilla is going to have a breakout year when she comes back? And who's your dream match for Bozilla? Who's your dream match for anyone we've named today so far? Who do you want to see them? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of our community, this is our segue. We asked you on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook at Cruising With Kayfabe, what are some of your favorite Forbidden Door matches? Now, I went through and we had a lot of them, so I want to thank you. I think we had like 60 comments on our Facebook and like 20 on TikTok. And I went through, I wanted to pick ones that everyone we named tonight, someone named. So obviously I didn't want to repeat. However, we have Alex from the People's Podcast, which with Hiromu Takahashi versus Kyle Fletcher at Forbidden Door 2025. Absolutely agree. Fantastic match. I'm really sad that we're not going to see Takahashi in AEW anymore, but I really hope he does well on NXT and WWE. But I love that match. It was a great way kind of first to see him and also showcase Fletcher.
Yes.
Kevin gave us Tanahashi versus Mox in 2022, which I like because it's kind of like the ace of New Japan going against the ace of AEW. So I like that. And, he says it's the real reason why we have Forbidden Door in the first place.
See, he gets it.
Sickos for Life said Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr., which we mentioned. Excuse me. Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shibata versus Garcia. Okay, so he's talking about the four-way that we mentioned earlier. He said it was competitive and entertaining. I would definitely agree with that. Jim, who I know very well, said Sting and Darby versus Suzuki and the Young Bucks and ELP.
Was that our introduction to ELP?
That might have been Forbidden Doors introduction. Yes. Jesse says Swerve versus Osprey in 2024. I agree. I almost picked that world title match. I thought Will had a chance and Swerve won, and I just thought it was awesome that Swerve won clean. It was a great match. I think they're going to repeat that chemistry again tomorrow night. Jonathan says CM Punk versus Kojima. Fun fact, I love that Kojima elbow dropped CM Punk right in the nuts in this match. One of my favorite spots of that match. But it was a solid match, but that spot lives rent-free in my head. And MJF versus Tanahashi. I agree. I think that was a very underrated match. Not a lot of people give that enough love. And last but not least, both Christopher and Romero both said the 2025 Lights Out Cage match with the Death Riders and the Bucks versus Omega, Ibushi, the Ace, and Osprey and Darby. Absolutely love that match. Really sad about the ending, obviously knowing Will had to go off and have surgery and the Death Riders took him out. But that match was just insanity, and I think we're going to get another repeat of insanity in a cage match.
And I think that we're still working that story to this day, which is incredible. It's been about a year.
It has been, and one of the things I wrote down, and it's kind of my thoughts on Forbidden Doors. Forbidden Door isn't just about dream matches anymore, but it's about defining moments. And I think every pay-per-view gives us some moment to reflect on. I mean, whether it's Kenny last year singing "Mbop" to the Bucks when they come out, whether it's Swerve and Osprey having a competitive match, or Orange Cassidy doing the superhero pose, I think that's what's great about Forbidden Door. And I think it's a place where careers change, like we talked about, Bozilla, Clark Connors. And I think every year there's always a match we always talk about. I think every Forbidden Door, there's always that one match you're like, holy shit, did you see this match? So that's kind of our take on Forbidden Door. That's some of our favorite matches, underrated matches. If we missed any, if you have other ones, let us know in the comments below. And also, let us know your thoughts on Forbidden Door 2026. Check out our prediction videos with Jeff and Rachel. That's also streaming on our YouTube.
And I'm going to put this out there right now. If you guys are bored Monday night, because there's so much to watch, I think that we should go live and talk about Forbidden Door Monday night.
We shall see. We shall see, especially Monday night. But thank you guys again. Let us know. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow our journey. We have a lot of cool content coming up this summer because we're all in, baby. So we're looking forward to this pay-per-view. Have a good weekend. Make sure you tell someone you love them. Make sure you enjoy wrestling. It's a plethora this weekend. And remember, always
keep the kayfabe.